All right, we're about to be. It counts really slow. We're probably live already. He just
doesn't want to tell anybody.
yeah. All right. Now we're live.
There you go.
Now it's working. Good morning still in the West Coast. Good afternoon everywhere else. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm here with Mr. Tom Strickfaden.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so Tom Strickfaden is the man that a lot of you guys out there might know from financing. You might know the name. Maybe you didn't know the face.
Yes.
So we're bringing Tom Strickfaden to you so you can see his face. The reason that Tom's here is that as we've been over the last couple of days, it's day 2 here on the floor at AWFS. It is we're at booth 801. As you can see, there's a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of people that are walking in. When I came in this morning, I had to go back to the coffee line at the Dunkin' Donuts twice, actually, because the line was just so long. There's so many people out there. Right before 9 o'clock, before the doors were going to come, before the doors were opening, there was just a mad crowd. Just so many people out there, just waiting for the doors to open to come in. So that's good. You know, yesterday turned out to be better than I think we expected it.
It did.
And today is looking to be another good day. But as someone who has, we've invited Tom to come on because he spends a lot of time throughout the show, all over the place, and we want to know from other people how things are going. So specifically about the show, how are you seeing things in the show, but also tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the industry.
Sure.
What are you hearing about? I know, we know people are busy, but what are you hearing about what their challenges are and things like that? But first, let's talk about the show. What do you think?
It started off a little slow yesterday, but was interesting. By the middle of the day, I started to run into a lot of repeat customers.
Yeah. Okay.
Today, it's been really quite a bit more than yesterday, in my personal opinion. There's actually activity. People that came in yesterday were looking at something, saying, hey, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll probably see quite a few people submit applications for financing today, which is really, you never know when you come to a show like this, especially with coming off of this pandemic. You didn't know how many people were going to be here.
So where are the people coming from?
So far, most of the people I've seen have been west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
I have seen a couple people from Florida. I have seen somebody from New York and some from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But most of them I have seen have been west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
So,
Very good. Well, tell us a little bit about in general, because you talk to so many shops.
Yes.
And you're talking to shops about, obviously here in the Weinig Holz-Her booth, we talk a lot about machinery because that's what we know. But you talk to customers about everything, and you're talking to the companies in our industry, and you are financing forklifts. You're financing, you're financing lots of things. What are the challenges that the customers are having that may or may not be related to needing to buy machinery? I mean, what's your feel for our industry?
Sure. So, being that I've done this for 36 years, it's been in the last probably 2 years, especially since the pandemic, I've seen more and more customers call me up and say, you know what, I can't get people to come back to work. Before we used to do loans that were like 250 to 300, 350. Now I got customers calling me up and say, Tom, I got to make this automated. I can't get people to come to work. We're going to get this piece of equipment. We're going to get all this accessory. And instead of doing a loan that's 250 to 300, we're doing loans that are $600, $700, $800 million transactions.
Yeah.
That's not everybody, but even the small shop can't get people to come to work.
Right.
So they're like, how do I make this more efficient and more effective?
So I talked a little bit about this yesterday. I happened to run into a customer of ours from Massachusetts. We talk about where they're coming from. Most of what I've seen has also been people coming from the West Coast, but this family, this husband and wife, were from Massachusetts, and they were talking about that same thing. Now, they're a very small company, and which is the vast majority of who we do business with. They're all small companies, and where they are really struggling is that they're almost it's not a hostage situation necessarily, but trying to get people to come to work. They're demanding a much higher wage than a lot of our industry can afford to pay.
A customer from upstate New York called me on Friday. He said, Tom, are you going to the show? I'm looking to spend this equipment. And he's actually doing barn doors and reclaimed doors and stuff like that. He goes, I've bonused my people to come back. I've given them, I raised their pay, and I still can't get enough people to come in and work. So they're having no choice but to automate.
I'm hearing, so in these small shops, you can't afford for
people not to show up because they can't produce.
General labor, when they're demanding $35 an hour to do kind of general labor in the shop, that our industry can't really support that because they can't just pass that on to their customers. The customers aren't going to pay the premium. So we're seeing it. A lot of small shops are buying a lot of equipment.
And they are. And on that, one of the things that I've heard from a lot of customers lately, when we do the financing, so we try to help customers, instead of having a customer call up his banker and say, hey, I need to go buy a $200,000 Weinig molder.
Right.
And he's going, the banker comes back to him and says, well, what is that?
Yeah.
And he's got to explain to the banker what it is. Then his banker says, well, we need to go to a committee. And by the way, you got to get me 2 years of tax returns, 2 years of financials, your personal financial. The guy's getting all intimidated going, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know if I want to do this. Oh, and by the way, you got to have deposit accounts on hand so that we're going to loan you your own money. Most customers go, man, you make it way too easy. It's just a one-page credit app. That's what we're not supposed to make this difficult. If you're a customer and you have had equipment and you show that you can pay for it, we can get you financing on new pieces of equipment based on your pay history on the previous stuff.
There you go.
So it is a lot simpler than most people think. It's not as intimidating.
Right.
It's not as intimidating of your banker bending you over going, hey, you got to do all this, and it's still scary. It's a one-page credit app. That's most transactions that we do up to $500,000 or $750,000 is done on a one-page credit app. It's not that hard to do. And it's pretty simple, and the rates are very, very advantageous.
Well, you mentioned rates. So what? I know that they're fluctuating. People are saying that the rates are going to go up. They have gone up a little bit from where they were maybe 12 months ago, or maybe 6 months ago. But what are you seeing right now? Like, what's an average rate on a 60-month term, for example?
So the most common, we do terms from 12 months to 84. Most common is the 60 months.
Okay.
Typical rates on transactions that are like 50 to 75 or greater, you're looking at rates in the high 3s to mid 4s.
So that's I mean, there you go. So even with rates going up, they have gone up a little bit. That's still almost free money, right? I mean, that's
I've been back in 2006 and 7 when things were booming. We were doing rates that were 7.5%, 8.5%. So
which was considered good. I remember those days. We thought those were good rates back then.
They were awesome rates, and people, no one complained because that was just what's standard.
Right.
Inflation's kicking in. Rates are going to go up high. So I think business owners are deciding to go out and make that purchase now to be prepared for that inflation that's coming. Why not lock rates in today in the mid to low 4s instead of waiting 2 years from now where rates could be 6 or 7?
Well, and the other thing too is that there are some people, of course if you're in this industry at all, you know about lead times being extended, right?
That's a big problem.
But that's probably not going to go away because everybody is ordering so many machines. So the thought would be, the rates are low right now. If you think you need the machine now, you're probably also going to need the machine next year. And even with a longer lead time, you probably should be going ahead and getting in line because if you don't get it now, it's just going to be potentially even longer lead time later.
Well, we service the housing industry. The housing industry, I mean, they still can't produce enough houses. So that's still in the future, years out.
We've been tracking a lot of that stuff, and the builder confidence has come down a little bit, but it's been at record highs, so it's still above what they would consider to be a very confident market, right? So builders are still confident. They're still building. They know that things are going to. If you've driven through where we live, we happen to live in North Carolina. Man, you can't go anywhere where you don't see new construction starting, right?
Everywhere, trucks.
Everywhere.
I mean, look, you can go on the highway there's more trucks than there are cars.
I noticed. I mean, we're in Las Vegas. Obviously, there's a ton of cranes in the sky here.
Yep.
So, I mean, Vegas is building. You see cranes. Every major city right now, you see cranes going up. We did have a pause right around when everything locked down last spring.
Yep.
We had a pause, but man, it has come back, and I think it's come back stronger than anybody could have ever predicted.
It has. I mean, literally, as I told you in the past, when that all shut down on the 12th of March a year ago, for about 2 weeks, we spent a lot of time helping people with deferments. But since April of last year, it's been a boom.
Yeah.
People they can't get enough equipment. They can't get it soon enough. They can't order enough. They can't get people to come in and work enough. So it is a buyer's market right now. People are buying equipment.
Speaking of deferment, I know it's a different topic, but what are there some specials that you're offering here at the show if people were to sign up to buy a machine, they're going to finance it with you, for example? Are there anything that they should know about?
So a typical transaction, most people put like first payment in advance, first and last. We can do no payments up front, start your payments in 30 days. We do offer deferments. There's gimmicky things that people do, these $199
Right.
for 12 months. You got to be
Right.
careful because that's a way to hide stuff. I mean, you want to make sure you're getting a true amortization schedule
Right.
rate that's a fair rate.
Okay.
But we can get a customer can order a machine, can have no payments for 90 days, get the machine in their facility, up and running, producing, making them money before they start having to pay for it,
Nice, nice.
which is nice. It's
Very
kind
good.
of keeps it simple and clean.
Well, there you go. So if you're in the booth, or excuse me, if you're in the show, you're going to see Tom Strickfaden with his pretty purple jacket walking around.
That's today. I might have a more colorful one tomorrow. You never know. I gotta stand out.
You've also got some team members here with you. You got
Yep.
some other folks
We
that are
got
rolling
Chris
around.
and Riley. We got a couple
so,
people.
so if you come by the Weinig Holz-Her booth, we can talk about financing. If you just want to know more specifics, maybe we didn't answer the questions. I don't happen to have my my feed up, so I don't know if you're making comments or not. Christian's behind the desk back there. Christian, are there any comments, any questions for Tom Strickfaden?
Any
Are
comments?
there anybody asking questions?
Some people said that they were sorry that they couldn't be here, but they're watching online.
Okay, so some of the people are saying that they're sorry they can't be here. We appreciate you guys watching online. Again, we're trying to give as close to an experience of being here if you can't be here. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring it to you. So if you do have questions, you can put them in the feed. We'll answer them later. Or if you're here, come by and see Mr. Tom Strickfaden, meet his team, talk about the financing. Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
And everybody, I hope who is here, make sure they go home with some money.
Yeah.
Don't lose it all.
I've already heard some stories.
Yeah.
Already heard some stories.
It's only been a day and a half.
Well, it's always a pleasure.
Yes.
Appreciate you taking some time to talk with us here on the floor.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to send it back over to Christian, and we'll be back later.